Good evening, everybody. Zach, can you hear me?
Yep.
I don't know what the music just won't unmute. Not sure why the music wouldn't unmute, but no, no Bat Around music tonight. But oh well. Welcome into the Bat Around. It's another edition of the Bat Around. I'm your host, Paul Valley from Pigtown Sports. He is Zach Moore, joining us as always on this Sunday evening. Zach, happy Father's Day to you. How was it today?
You as well, Paul. It was good, man. It was relaxing. Just went to my in-laws, had a little bit of a cookout, and just rushed to get the kids to bed.
Nice. Yeah, I played baseball this morning, went to our sponsor, Independent Brewing Company, had a beer there, came home. My dad and my stepmom came up from Fenwick. They're headed up to Rhode Island early tomorrow morning. So they dropped by the house to see it for the first time. Saw my daughter for the first time since January, and we just had and I made fajitas. So had to cook on Father's Day, but I don't mind because everybody got a good meal. So it was awesome.
Yeah.
Played a little bit of golf yesterday, and if you want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time, the Baltimore Golf Academy has fun instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimoregolfacademy.com. I shot a 51 on the front yesterday and a 40 on the back.
Damn.
51 on the front and a 40 on the back. And I missed a par putt that was about 5 feet, and I missed a birdie putt that was about 4 feet on the back nine, or I would have broken 90 despite that 51.
Did you just see the 64-foot putt walk off?
Oh my God. It was awesome. He needed the two putt from 64 feet, which for somebody like you or me would have been difficult. Right. Yeah, and he's just like, I'm just gonna sink it.
Yeah.
I'm not take away all the drama or add all the drama if whichever one suits you better. Drops this 64-foot putt in a downpour out there at Oakmont in Pittsburgh to win it. To finish under par, only player to finish under par for the tournament. It took a 64-foot putt for birdie on the last hole on the last day. Just awesome.
It was man. Let's break the freaking ice. What in the hell are the Red Sox doing? That has got to be the worst haul. And the worst part is Jordan Hicks is going on the IL. So you just got back a hurt pitcher for one of the best left-handed hitters in the game.
You kind of feel like, I mean, maybe you don't. Are they trying to send a message that no player is bigger than the franchise? And then just kill. I mean, and like people didn't forget that you traded away Mookie Betts, right?
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like you've traded away this organization's two of their top 10 players of all time, arguably.
Right. And you let Xander Bogaerts walk. And Bogaerts, I get. He was on the wrong side of 30, and his best years were likely behind him, and the Padres, frankly, overpaid. But Rafael Devers, and you trade him in favor of Alex Bregman, who's currently on the IL.
Right.
Whose best years are behind him also. And look, Bregman's a good player. He's a better defender than Devers is, but Devers' bat is so much better at this point in their careers. He's 3 years younger. Good for us, you know? Even though the Orioles still have to play 3 games against the Giants at some point this year.
Yeah.
But, like...
You got a scouting report on them at least, but I mean, like... Look, this sets the Giants up in the future. I mean, right now, you know, the Diamondbacks are really scuffling with injuries. The Dodgers are really scuffling with injuries. This gives them a shot, right? They get to unload some arms that, quite frankly, really weren't doing all that well. So I would expect the Giants, to be very aggressive at the trade deadline to acquire some pitching. And, I mean, what is Boston doing? Like, you literally just swept the Yankees. You're tied for the wild card, and you trade your best player. And I like what Lou said. I said this too. I won't be shocked. It's highly, highly doubtful it happens. But if it happened, it wouldn't shock me in the least that the Giants flip him again for somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, but to who?
Toronto wanted him bad. But you're not going to trade in interdivision. But now goes to the NL, and the NL is like, hey, send me some of your guys here. Send me Bo Bichette, and I'll try to work out a deal. You know, send me somebody else, and then you can have Devers for a couple of years. Like, why wouldn't they? Highly doubtful it happens because San Francisco really does struggle to sign bats. But, again, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I just when I saw the post that just said Rafael Devers to
To the
the
Giants.
Giants,
I thought
and I
Robert
was
Murray
like,
got hacked.
and I was like, and when that's all that it said, that was the only detail.
Right.
It's like, what the hell is this? I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
even think twice about it. And then
Did your 12-year-old get a hold of your phone today or something?
right,
Like,
and I'm just sitting there, and then you send me the a screenshot of the tweet that says what they're getting back, and I'm like, oh my god, this is real.
yeah.
And then that's all. Like, it's between the U.S. Open and that was all I saw on my timeline for the last hour and a half. But man, like legitimately, it just feels like they're up there in Boston and they're saying no player's bigger than the franchise, and we're not scared to do this. But you didn't get anything in return.
Right.
And I get it. Like Jordan Hicks can throw over 100 miles an hour, but he's got to be on the mound to do it.
Yeah.
And what's the name of the other? I already forgot the other guy's name. But he has Harrison, 4.56 ERA each of the last 2 years, 4.16 the year before that. Like you got like a middling, you got like Dean Kramer back.
Yeah, his comp is Andrew Heaney. Like they say that's his ceiling.
That's his ceiling.
Yeah.
That's his ceiling.
Yeah.
I hate Andrew Heaney.
Look, I understand they take on $300 million, but like you got to get something. Okay, cool. You got their fourth best prospect. Like you didn't even ask for Bryce Eldridge.
Right.
Like what are we doing?
And again, if Jordan Hicks is healthy, it's okay. You know, how long did it take Jordan Hicks to figure it out?
Okay.
You know what I mean? But it's like you got somebody, but like the Red Sox don't really have anybody in their rotation that scares you anyway, except for Garrett Crochet. And like you didn't get anybody that you can confidently pair with Crochet. And Brian Bayo, he's supposed to be that dude, but he's not. I think that dude's a head case. Man, this looks really bad. Especially, last year they made a run at things and they didn't get there, but they made a solid run at things, right? This year you're expecting them to be better, and it took them forever to bring up Roman Anthony. Tristan Casas is hurt again. He's out for the year. Now you're trading away Rafael Devers. Alex Bregman is out. He's still on the IL, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, are you waving the white flag right now? Or like if Tarek Skubal didn't exist, you've got the front runner for Cy Young in your rotation, and you're just waving the white flag.
Yeah, I really don't.
That's what it feels like. It feels like they're trying to send a message, and they're saying this ain't the year, boys.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, it makes no sense to me.
But it's funny that look, Jared Cannabis he's a big dude. He's huge on Twitter and he's huge following, whatever. But he could be joking, but I've seen him multiple times just say like, this isn't the year. Like throw in the towel, give up. And I'm like, dude, you're 2 games out of the wild card, and here we are 9. And I'm like, the Orioles are making the playoffs. I'm pounding the table about it. And like, I don't know, just I guess maybe they just see things differently. Like I look at a good roster down here, and that 9-game deficit didn't bother me. And then I guess he looks at his roster and he's like, 2 games, we're done. I don't know. I don't know the difference.
That's the difference in being a Red Sox fan and having seen 4 World Series championships in the last 20 years, and in being a Baltimore Orioles fan and trying to grasp at anything to give you hope that it ain't over.
Yeah.
And look, the Orioles are doing us a big favor in helping us feel like it ain't over, because they're playing some damn good baseball right now. I mean, you're talking about a team that, what was it, May 23rd? They were 18 games under 500. Mm-hmm. Now, 3 weeks later, they're 10 games under 500 and 6 games out of a wild card spot.
They currently have the 3rd best record in baseball in June at 8-4. Well, now 9-4. So depending on the end of today's game, they could be tied for the 2nd best record in baseball. It's they kept saying it for a while. It's a long season, and it is. And you keep playing this kind of baseball, and all of a sudden you're going to be right back at 500, and everybody's going to be like, "Where did the Orioles come from?"
Mm-hmm. And except for Zach Moore, who never lost hope.
The roster is too talented, and the AL is it's abysmal. Look, the Angels just got swept and didn't lose a single bit of ground in the wild card. They're still 2.5 games out after being swept. Mm-hmm. Like the AL is that bad that we're 5.5 games out now. We're right there.
when I checked right before the show, they're 6 games out, and the Angels are 3 games out.
Okay, so another game must have finished.
Yeah, but like if it's the Angels are the third wild card and the Orioles are the 4th team, but they have the same record, it's actually the Orioles because the Orioles have won, even though the Angels right now are ahead of them. The Orioles actually have that half game tiebreaker because they won the season series. You know, they lost. They went 5-1 against the Angels. And look, let's break this down a little bit, right? Because the Orioles go out to the West Coast, so they play a good Mariners team. That when the Orioles got out there, the Mariners were in first place in the AL West, and the AL West ain't no joke, right? And like when the season started, you said that you thought the Rangers were one of the best teams in baseball.
Yeah,
and the best team in the AL. The Astros are the Astros. They're going to be there. You know, the Athletics are better than people give them credit for, but the Mariners were the team that was leading that division. Then the Orioles go out to Seattle and they sweep them, and then they go to Sacramento. I keep wanting to say Oakland, but they go to Sacramento and they lose 2 or 3 of the Athletics, and you're like, what the hell? Like, if you could feel terrible about a 4-2 West Coast trip, that's how you do it, is by losing 2 or 3 to the Athletics. But then you play a solid game that legitimately that first game against the Tigers, the Orioles should have won that ball game. They had an early lead, and Dean Kramer struck, right? It was he gives up 5 runs in 6 innings. He had like 1 terrible inning, and it cost him the game. Then you go out the next game, you have your most lopsided victory since the first game of the season, since the season opener when you won 12-2 in Toronto. You beat the doors off of Casey Mize and the Detroit Tigers, beating them to 10-1. Only the first time they scored more than 10 or more runs in the game since opening day. Then you go and you face Tarek Skubal in game 3. Mm-hmm. And look, they lost that game 4-1, and I think it was a Westburg home run there in the 8th or 9th inning that got them on the board. But they had an opportunity. Like, Westburg hit a deep fly ball in the first inning that would have either been off the wall or been gone if it wasn't for a great catch by the right fielder. And even if it was off the wall, Gunnar got a base hit later in the inning that would have driven Westburg in. You know, what's his name? Skubal walked 3 guys in that game. They got his pitch count up. It was an off night for Skubal, and he still threw 7 shutout innings. But look, I saw that Detroit series, and I didn't think that the Orioles were outmatched at any point in that series. It felt like they played good baseball. They just were on the wrong end of things 2 out of the 3 games. And then people were talking about, oh, well, you got to sweep the Angels. You got to sweep the Angels. The Angels came in at 33-34. Trout's back healthy and hitting home runs. And the Orioles do exactly what they needed to do. They swept them. And today, they left no doubt. They were up 5-2 quick. They were up 5-2 quick. And then the next thing you know, it's 11-2. They've hit 3 home runs. Gary Sanchez homers in back-to-back games, including a grand slam today. And you're just sitting there and you're like, I think the Orioles are back. I think they're back. Now they're going down to Tampa Bay. They've got a 4-game series there. Tampa Bay, no matter what
series,
it's going to be a fun series. Sagano's not pitching in that series. They have TBD.
I think Rogers is getting game 3.
I think so. And do you think they're giving Sagano a blow? You think they're giving him a rest? Because the last few starts have been a little iffy for him, giving up some runs in the first inning. Hasn't looked quite himself. Think that they're trying to give him a blow because he might be a little gassed right now?
Probably. Get his legs back underneath him, stretch his start out, maybe give him a 6 or 7 day rest. I think he'll be all right.
I mean, it's a 4-game series. I think it's their first 4-game series of the year, is it not?
I think we played one other and we split it.
Oh, that's right. The first series of the year against Toronto, 4-game series, and they split that. So you're going to play 4 games in Tampa Bay. My expectations, if the Orioles want to make up some, you got to win 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. You've got to win 3 or 4. And look, Tampa Bay, every year I feel like their roster just ain't it. And every year they're winning close to 90 games. They're making themselves.
Remember I said I thought they were a playoff team this year?
Mm-hmm.
That's just what they do.
Right now, they're leading the wild card race in the AL.
And they're doing it without McClanahan because he's hurt again. I forget one of the other pitchers is hurt
Rasmussen, too. Jeffrey Springs. Did they trade Springs? I feel like they traded one of those guys. I think they traded Jeffrey Springs. I think it was Jeffrey Springs. But look, this is a winnable series. This is a winnable series, and it's a team directly in front of you in the division, directly in front of you in the wild card. You go down there, you win 3 out of 4 against Tampa Bay, and people around baseball are going to be talking about the Baltimore Orioles again.
I mean, listen, it's not like they're going to a minor league park in Sacramento that they've never played before. This is Yankees spring training facility, so they're comfortable playing down there,
right?
So it's not like they're going to a brand new place and they got to learn the wall and stuff. No, they've been there, and even the backups have played a lot of spring training games there. So that shouldn't be an excuse. I give them maybe a 5% excuse in Sacramento, but that don't hold here. So they're gonna have to go out and play good ball.
Yeah, and right now they are playing good ball. And you put some stats in here about this homestand. The Orioles again, they lose 2-3 to Detroit. They lost that first game, and you're kind of like, they got Mize and Skubal, and it's like, shit, they're getting swept. But they come out and they just blow their doors off 10-1 in the middle game. And it's like, yeah, they're probably going to lose against Skubal, but what if? What if? And they had the opener. Keegan Aiken was the opener in that game. He gave you needed 2 innings. You needed 2 innings out of Aiken. He only gave you 1 because he threw like 26 pitches in that first inning. And he put you, I don't think he gave up a run. He didn't, but he threw a lot of pitches. So Kramer has to come in the second instead of the third. And credit to Dean Kramer. He threw 7 innings and 6 of them were really strong. But he did what Dean Kramer does. That one inning where he gives up the homer, I think, to Dingler. And then he gives up the home run to the backup catcher. Who was the guy? It wasn't the backup catcher because Dingler's a catcher. But he gives up the home run to the guy who has no home runs and no RBIs on the season. And he gives up a 3-run homer to him. It's 4-0 now. And it's like, even on an off day, Skubal ain't giving up 4.
Right.
And that Tigers bullpen is good enough that that if Skubal's out after the 8th inning, you're not, after the 7th inning, you're probably not scoring 4 against that bullpen. Yeah. But they had an opportunity. They played some fault baseball games. The team looks like they're just playing with more confidence. And you have it on here, man. I don't want to steal your thunder, but 33 runs and allowed just 17 in the 6 games on his homestand. Break some of these numbers down for us. Tell our listeners, viewers, kind of like what we're looking at and how well the Orioles have been playing.
Yeah, look, like we just talked about it. We expected them to. We hoped to take 2 from Detroit. We expected probably just 1 win, but we went 4-2. Hit 278 as a team on the homestand with 11 home runs. It's been a long time since we've been able to say that we hit 11 home runs in 2 series. 31 RBIs, 5 stolen bases. That's the key there. They got thrown out a couple times, but they're still running. And I feel like, under Hyde, sometimes the guys would get thrown out and they wouldn't run for 2 weeks. Like they were just afraid to make outs. You know what? Tony's sending them. Buck is sending them. It's great to see. 23 extra base hits in this homestand. And then an 845 OPS. You can't ask for anything else out of that, especially with 2 teams that are ahead of you in the race. They were 11 for 41, hit 268 with runners in scoring position. I'm not mad at it. Is it great? No. Is it terrible? No.
They were hitting 208 coming into the week.
Right. They scored 33 runs. I'm not going to complain. 283 ERA from the pitching staff on the homestand, which I thought was incredible. Starters gave us a 4.01, bullpen 1.84. Yeah, with 32 strikeouts. Bullpen is locked in right now. They had a 10.0 K-9 ratio, a 28% K rate, and a .082 whip out of the bullpen.
It's
a bullpen
crazy.
that was walking a lot of guys for a good bit has really turned it around. My Drew French hate has dialed back a notch. Not a lot, but a notch. They seem to be responding to everyone. And I see Chad Kendrick make the comment here about giving John Mabry a lot of credit since he was hired. Their hitting approach has completely flipped since John Mabry was hired, which I pulled some of that earlier. Where was it? Oh, yeah. So coming into today's game, they had swung at 149 of 284 pitches in the month of June. I'd give June 1st Mabry's first real test. I know he was there that one Sunday and then they had a day off, whatever. They've hit 65 foul balls, 21 hits. They're hitting coming into today's game, hitting 438. They were the best in the league. 29 balls in play, 34 whiffs. second most home runs on the first pitch with 5. So that was what you and I talked about with Mabry. He's a early in the count hitter. He wanted people to jump on it. He wants you to stay in the middle of the field. And so far, it is working.
Yeah, I don't think that it's a coincidence that Mabry got here and the offense has kind of started to turn it around and start getting more hits with runners in scoring position, putting more bats on balls. You see him far, and it's not something that you notice one game to the next, but it's something that you notice over time, that they're consistently taking better at bats. And you're not just seeing this team suddenly they're behind 0-2 and they're taking strike 3 right down the middle. The approach has just been that much better. But you want to talk about what's been going on with this team, and you look no further than what we already talked about, that bullpen. And I want to talk about 2 guys in particular that we were ready to run out of town. We were ready to run this team out of town, these guys out of town after that Boston series. First, you look at Gregory Soto. In his last 9 games, 7 in the third innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 10 strikeouts to 1 walk. He's got a 1.23 ERA, a 2.53 FIP in his last 9 games with 6 holds, covering 7 in the third innings. Sir Anthony Dominguez in his last 8 games, 8 2/3 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 14 strikeouts. These are the 2 guys that we're sitting there and we're just like they're the reason that 19-5 happened against Boston. But 19-5 happened, and then that's when the Orioles turned it around. They were like, like we that's 24-2, and then 19-5 happening in the same season. We cannot allow this to continue. And it was like a switch flipped for everybody on the team at that point. So the bullpen and those 2 guys, because those 2 guys, they earned high leverage situations, started to lose them, and now they've earned them right back again. Them and Brian Baker have been just throwing the piss out of the ball. Absolutely.
Brian Baker has given up 1 earned run this month in 7 outings. 1 earned run.
And it was the only earned run.
His last 15 appearances, he's only given up how many runs is that? 5 earned runs in his last 15 appearances, with 21 strikeouts in 14 innings. Yeah. And I didn't like the guy. Look, I'm not even going to say, that we didn't. We didn't like the guy. He had given us nothing to hang our hat on whatsoever, and we were just waiting for Brian Baker to come back. But the ball's moving still. Again, knock on wood, Brian Baker might make an all-star team.
Yeah, you're looking at guys like Brian Baker, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Gregory Soto, who, if you had told me at the beginning of the year, those 3 guys would be being talked about in the positive light on June 15th, I wouldn't have believed you, because I would have thought they all have electric arms, but they all don't know where the damn ball is going, and they give up way too many home runs. But here they are leading a resurgent Orioles bullpen, and that bullpen's resurgent because the starting pitching is that much better. And
let me ask you a weird question.
Sure.
This is going to come off
questions.
I don't even know how to ask this, but did everything get better when Tim Cossins walked out the door? He was the bullpen coach, right? He was the catcher's coach. Like,
maybe
Tim coached me, and I loved Tim. But at what point does a coincidence become not a coincidence?
Well, I think that you have to look at this team on the whole. You have to look at this team on the whole and say, well, Brandon Hyde's gone. They're playing their best baseball of the year. They're rejuvenated. Tony Mansolino, for all the weird things that he says and the fact that he calls runs points, there's something about him that just resonates with this team.
Yeah.
He's, by the way, he's only 42 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he looks about 70.
Yeah. He is barely 2 years older than me. Like, actually, he's not. He's just under 3 years old. But even still, it's weird to me that he's only 42 years old. Somebody brought that to my attention the other day. But there's something about him that's just almost likable, almost like a all shucks like type of thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like you almost feel like this guy has no clue what he's doing, And I kind of love it about him because he's just like, whatever, I wasn't ready for this, but let's go, you know? And then, and he just trusts his guys to go out and play baseball. And he trusts his starting pitchers, and the starting pitchers ERA. I don't think it's a coincidence that Brandon Hyde's gone and the pitchers look better. You know, because
team ERA, remember how bad it was?
Mm-hmm.
They're up to 18th now with a 4.09 since Brandon Hyde was let go.
Yeah. What's the record since Hyde was let go? They've got to be 8 or 9
around
games.
500, I think.
I think it's even better than that.
Let me see. Orioles record since.
I'm just going to look at his the
15
managerial
11.
page. Yeah. They're 15-11 since Brandon Hyde was let go.
Chad Kendrick just sent me a text. Do you follow that account Rasball?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay, so he just tweeted out, Mookie Betts, Rafael Devers, Chris Sale have netted Vaughn Grisham, Alex Verdugo, Connor Wong, Jeter Downs, Jordan Hicks, and Kyle Harrison. Those kind of trades will get the Red Sox kicked out of a fantasy league.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Like, I love it because
people
I hate
want
the
to
Red
blame
Sox.
Rafael Devers. Like, maybe it's not Rafael Devers' fault.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
That's bad.
That's really bad. Like, they got nothing. I remember when we thought
those are three generational players.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know how. What's the GM's name again? Breslow. Craig Breslow. How do you keep a job? How do you keep a job after this?
I don't know, man. I really don't know.
It's amazing to me what this team has given up. I mean, in 2018, you're looking at the Red Sox, and they've got Mookie Betts, they've got Chris Sale, they've got Rafael Devers, and you're like, and they win 108 games, they win a World Series, and you're sitting there and you're like, this team is going to be unstoppable. They're going to be unstoppable for years. And then they immediately trade Mookie Betts, and now Sale's gone, and now Devers is gone, and you're just looking at this team, and the fact that we're looking at the loss of Tristan Casas as a blow for this team should tell you everything you need to know about the Boston Red Sox, because Tristan Casas ain't shit.
No, he's a decent hitter, but he's decent, you know?
Yeah, but he's decent.
He's not going to carry you like Rafael Devers would.
No, but like, we're acting like if you watch the Netflix series and then like you see what the fact that Casas got hurt again this year, like you would think that they were losing Vladdy by the way that they were reacting to Casas being gone. You know, the Red Sox to me, and look, the Orioles are going to pass them. I'm going to tell you that right now. The Orioles. I told my buddy the other day when the Orioles lost that game, game 1 to the Tigers, and they were 27-40. And I'm sorry, they lost game 3 to the Tigers, and they were 27-40. I told my buddy, I was like, they're going to get to 50 wins before they get to 50 losses. And, you know, then they go out and they sweep. They're 30-40 right now. Only four other teams in the history of baseball have started the season 30-40 and made the playoffs. I think the most recent one was the 2013 Dodgers, if I'm not mistaken. 30-40. The Orioles could be the 5th team ever to make the postseason. And this is the same team that we were talking about a month ago that was 16 games under 500. And no team has ever made the playoffs after being 16 games under 500 at any point in the season. Now the stipulations and the goalposts are getting moved because they're playing that much better.
Yep.
They're playing that much better.
We'll go back to Tim Costens real quick. The bullpen in June is the 3rd best in baseball with a 1.53. Now, this is before today's game, obviously, because it's not updated as since 10 o'clock this morning. I think what I say was a 1.82, so that might go down a little bit. All these numbers are going to change. But coming into today's game, bullpen, a 154 average in the month of June with 59 strikeouts, which also is 2nd best in baseball.
Who's been better? What team has been better?
ERA, the Cubs have a 1.07 and Houston has a 1.41. Cubs are hitting 250 against them. Houston's hitting 136 or 154 coming into today's game. Again, is that I don't think Costens had a lot to do with like pitching, so to say, but you were a bullpen coach, and I don't know.
The
Like
entire
I said,
pitching
at
staff
what
has been
point
better.
does a coincidence not become a coincidence anymore? Like
Yeah.
something outside of just Brandon Hyde and Tim Cousins is happening, but why is it happening all of a sudden? Like, why couldn't Drew French get this shit together under Brandon Hyde? That's my question.
Maybe Brandon Hyde wouldn't let him.
I don't know.
You
I
know,
really don't know. I mean, Brandon Hyde was a Mike Elias hire. I mean, Drew French was a Mike Elias hire. Did they butt heads? I doubt it. I don't know. But you got to ask the question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's the team is, from what I saw, they're 15-12. 15-12 since Hyde.
Yeah, I don't count that first day. I always go from the 18th. I understand that he managed that game, but he found out 3 hours before the game he was being a manager. I don't count that game for any of my stats.
Yeah, no, I get that. So 15-11. Okay, I totally get that. They look different. I think John Mabry is more the reason for it all, because
Remember when you and I talked about this team not having an identity?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even saying that Mabry's like a savior, but all he did was I feel like he forced an identity on him, and it's just working.
Mm-hmm.
Might not even be the right one, but they finally just said, hey, this is what we're going to do. And they just finally got on the same page together, and it's working.
Well, and not just that, but Mabry's a guy who was a big league player, who had big league success. Like he was a good hitter. You know, Brandon Hyde was a AA catcher.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I understand that a lot of people say those that can't do teach. And that a lot of coaches, like Buck Showalter is probably one of my favorite managers of all time, and he was nothing more than a minor league player. And I understand that, but when your entire but when your entire coaching staff is made up of nothing but dudes who didn't even have minor league success, at some point, how do you relate to a big league player who's better than you ever were? How do you relate to that player? How do you tell them how to play the game when they're better than you ever were?
Right.
You know, and so it's not to say that they know all and that they can't be coached, but I think it helps to have somebody that's in the dugout that's talking to the team, that's been there and done that and had success, who's won championships, to kind of be that voice to be like, hey, this is how you play winning baseball. You do this every single day. You do this every single day. You don't run to catch a ground ball on the run and throw without setting your feet. You set your feet, you field a ground ball, you step into the throw. Look at how much better Gunner's defense has been over the last 3 to 4 weeks, and how much more fundamentally sound he looks fielding a ground ball than he did at any point the last year and a half.
Just like you and I talked about, man, it was the Lamar Jackson effect. Like, it was so easy to say it's the players, but sometimes it's not. And a change of scenery and a change of coach or change of scheme or anything could make all the difference. And so far it has.
Absolutely. Before we get into that, I want to remind everybody today's show is brought to you by Help My Gambling Problem. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. That's 1-800-GAMBLER or visit helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. I look at guys that started this year. What was it? Dylan Carlson, 0 for 22, 0 for 23. And now it seems like he gets a hit every game. He's been driving the ball out of the ballpark. Ramon Laureano was like 2 for 26 or something like that. And now he hits fourth in your lineup more often than not. Gary Sanchez, who, look, I'm not a Gary Sanchez fan. Like, even what he's done the last 2 games, I think he's terrible defensively. Yeah. And like, he can run into a fastball every now and again, but he's not a good hitter. But he started the year like 3 for 33. He comes back from off the IL after being there for a month and a half, and he homers yesterday and hits a grand slam today. You know, you look at a lot of these guys.
Get consistent playing time, you know, being on rehab. So that does help, because it is hard to kind of come off the bench every couple days and hit. Like, I'll give them flowers.
It is hard, but he's been a backup for the last 3 or 4 years. He's used to this. And 3 for 33, he knew that wasn't cutting. And he's hit a couple of home runs that have really helped this ball club the last 2 games. I mean, yesterday, that's the difference in the game, right? They won 6-5. Westburg comes back, and Westburg had himself a week. He had himself a week. 3 home runs, 8 RBI this week. He looks like the all-star from last year. And you figure, he had the hamstring injury, kept him on the IL for over a month. Yeah. He has that injury, but he was also dealing with the lower back all spring training and then into the season. You could tell that he just was not playing comfortable in his body. And resting that hamstring also allowed him to rest the rest of his body. And you saw him today on that ground ball on his first at bat to the third baseman. It got booted, flew over the shortstop's head, and he legs out. It technically isn't a hit, but he legs out a double essentially on a ball that got 20 feet out of the infield. And look how hard he was running, coming off a hamstring injury.
Right.
That dude's 100% healthy. That dude's 100% healthy, and you're seeing Jordan Westburg. Look, and then you get Mullins back. Mullins has 5 hits since returning on Tuesday, and he homered yesterday. The guys are coming back. They're getting healthy. They're rejoining a team that's playing really confident baseball, and it's rubbing off on each other.
Yep.
These guys are playing with a confidence we haven't seen all year. How much of that, in your opinion, is Tony Manzolino, and how much of that is it the players being like, this ain't good enough and just stepping up?
It has to be both. I find it hard that one guy made that big of a difference in Brandon Hyde going to Manzolino. Could it have? Maybe. I mean, maybe some of the rumors were true that the guys really just didn't like Brandon Hyde. They're playing right now to prove that true. That's all I'll say about that. They're playing that way. But I just think his upbeat mentality, and they feed off of that. I mean, what else? When you're down in the dumps and you got a guy continually telling you, like, hey, this is possible. I've got confidence in you. And then he allows you to start playing every day. He allows you to go a little bit longer. You start building your confidence in yourself. You're not on the mound at, 4 2/3 of an inning looking down or looking behind you and saying, damn, 4 2/3, I'm at 80 pitches. Here comes Brandon. And then, it's in your mind, I got to make this pitch. I got to do this, or, I got to get a hit here because I'm probably going to get pinch hit forward, the lefty coming out of the pen. No, these guys get to play baseball now. And Tony's leaving everything out of their mind to just, hey, go play baseball. A lot of that could be John Mabry too, because he's a guy that's been there. And we all know when you get inside your own head in baseball, things go south quick, especially if you start overthinking in the box, on the mound, anything. So I give it to both of them. But I do think that Manzolino plays a fairly large role in all this. He's just keeping it simple, and there's no overthinking anywhere on the field. It's just, let's go play baseball. Let's go do what got us here.
Right. Well, and you've been hearing, Adley for 5 months hit about 200 with a 600 OPS from the beginning of July, basically the last week of June through the end of May of this year. Adley was hitting about 200 with like a 600 OPS. 366 with a 998 OPS in June. I've been hearing a lot of different guys say, I credit the hitting coaches. How much of this is a John Mabry effect? How much of this is a hitting coaches? And how much of it is Brandon Hyde getting out of the way? And again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here. It's just, I was screaming from a mountaintop for 3 seasons to fire Brandon Hyde. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they fire him and they're playing their best baseball since last June. They're playing their best baseball in a year, and it's immediately following the guy getting out of town, and it's immediately following bringing in John Mabry. And you look at Adley. Was it the hitting coaches that told Adley to stop that late kick and that little toe tap that he was doing, or was it Mabry who came in and was like, "Hey, this is what I'm seeing"?
I don't know. I really don't.
But why don't you?
Gotta think it's Mabry because it's been very recent.
Yeah, it's been very recent. And Kobe Mayo getting the chance to play every day at the big league level. 3 doubles his last 6 games. He had his first multi-hit game on Saturday. He's going to play a lot. He's going to play a lot because we know it's 8 to 12 week injury for Ryan Mountcastle. How do you feel about Kobe Mayo? What do you expect out of him over the next 2 to 3 months? Is this a guy who you think can work his way up into the middle of the Orioles lineup like we envisioned the last couple of seasons, seeing what he was doing in the minors?
If he starts hitting, he's hitting the hell of the ball right now. Yeah, sure, he's still hitting under 200, but the ball is literally jumping off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
and he's putting good swings on the ball. He's a little bit more confident. The good eye is there. Still has that. The hitch isn't as bad. It's still there, but it's definitely redefined a little bit, and it's allowing him to get to that up and in fastball a little bit better. He's definitely hitting the mistakes now where he wasn't prior. You know, the balls in the middle, that 92-mile-an-hour ball that kind of floats in the middle, he foul straight back. Like now he's driving that for a double. So if he continues to do this, at what point do you? I don't know. I really don't know, because I feel like they do prioritize defense a little bit. They've shown time after time and time after again they love Mountcastle, and I think they're going to keep giving him spots. And if Kobe's really going to have to pick it up defensively, and if he does, I think he stays. You keep hitting the ball hard. I mean, they saw it with Laureano. They're not afraid to move you up to where it matters,
right?
And you start driving in some runs. Throw him up there. I don't care. It's just going to come down to his defense if he's going to stay or not. Stay all year.
You know what I loved to see today? Westburg in the leadoff spot against the lefty. Oh, by the way, it's the first time the Orioles have won back-to-back games against the left-handed starter since May of 2024. Right? They put that little bug up on the screen today. But Westburg leading off, 2 hits, a walk, 3 runs. Ramon Arias batting second, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 RBIs. Henderson hitting third, 2 hits, a walk, 2 runs. Like the 3 guys at the top of your order are doing what they're supposed to. Ramon Arias should be playing every single day, and they're finding ways to get him in there. They're absolutely finding ways to get him in there because he puts the bat on the ball, and it's a guy. And when he's going to right field, and he's hit a couple of home runs this past week, and he pulled them to left field. But Ramon Arias just hits line drives to right field like it's his job. I mean, it is his job, but he just hits line drives to right field. And he's the guy, when he comes up with a guy in scoring position, is there somebody you trust more than Arias to either get that guy over or get him in?
Against a right-handed pitcher, probably Ryan O'Hearn, but that'd be just about it.
Right. O'Hearn went in a little slump there himself. I think he was something like 7 for 37.
Yeah.
At one point after the average went up to 340. But guys go through slumps. I'm not gonna get mad at him for that. Guys go through slumps. But
so I just got sent a text. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay.
This is from an account on Twitter that has less than 500 followers. It says, been told that Grayson Rodriguez will most likely be out the entire season and will probably get surgery done. Adley Rutschman's ex-girlfriend basically effed with his mind all last year and screwed up his game. This is per Brandon Hyde himself at the Baltimore Country Club. This was sent at 4:51 today. Do you think Brandon Hyde's even still here after a month hanging out in Baltimore?
No.
Me either.
No, he lives in Sarasota. He's home spending time with his family.
That's what I would think.
Grayson Rodriguez they literally just interviewed him the other day, and he said he will pitch this year. And he said he'll pitch in the second half. Do I believe that Adley's ex has effed with his mind? Absolutely. We've all been broken up with, man. We know what that's like. You know what I mean? But do I think that Brandon Hyde is spending time at the Baltimore Country Club telling people, anybody that wants to listen, that Adley's girlfriend screwed him up and that Grayson's having surgery? Like, there's not a chance that that's true.
Right.
Like, that is less believable than that off-season article that we were all talking about that none of us really bought into.
Yeah.
You know the one. Like, that's less believable than that. And that was a pretty unbelievable article. It kind of looked like it might be true after a month and a half this year. But I digress. Don't believe any of it, especially the Grayson stuff, because it was literally this week that Grayson was like, I'm throwing. I feel good. My arm has felt good for a while. Don't know what happened with the lap, but I feel good, and I will pitch this year. And he's hoping to pitch after the All-Star break. You know,
he wouldn't say that prior.
Yeah, and if they were
get any timetable prior,
and if he was supposed to have surgery, why wouldn't he have already had it?
The only thing I will say about that is Kyle Bradish should have had it prior.
Right, but are they going to make that same mistake twice?
No. Not with a guy that you have control over for the next 5 years, no.
Yeah, you're not making that mistake twice. Because I don't think, because it was a triceps thing. It wasn't an elbow issue, right? It wasn't, they weren't talking about his UCL. They were talking about a straight tricep.
He apparently, did you see the rest of that? He said he never had a tricep or elbow injury. It's always been the lat.
Really?
which is just it's all too weird because he was on Foul Ball Talk and said it was a tricep injury too. The story's changed a little bit. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, and so here's what I know about how all that stuff's connected, right? So I would have pain in the front of my shoulder right here, right? And I went to go see a physical therapist. Anytime I threw, it was so uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that I had a partially torn rotator cuff. And he's like, no. He's like, 75% of people have some kind of slight tear in the rotator cuff. He's like, you have nothing. You're structurally sound. He was like, but the muscle under your scapula is weaker than the rest of your arm. And he's like, and that has to do with the front of that impacts the front of your shoulder, impacts your bicep, impacts your tricep, impacts your chest, where the chest connects to the shoulder. And so like he's working on all this stuff, told me all these stretches. And so now my arm doesn't hurt nearly as much as it used to. All of that shit's connected, so if he's having that lat issue, that's going up to his scapula, going up into his shoulder, affecting his biceps, affecting his triceps. So maybe when they did infrared technology or whatever, the spot that was heated up the most was a tricep. So they said it's a tricep injury. And then he got that second opinion. The doctor was like, this has nothing to do with your tricep. It's all your lat. And your lat's super weak. You got to do this to build it up and get stability in there. And for all we know, that's exactly what happened. Maybe that's what that second opinion was, because they kept telling him, it's your tricep. He's like, dude, my tricep feels fine. I've never had a tricep issue. It's not my tricep.
Right. Possible.
For all we know. But, look, this team keeps playing the ball that they're playing. You get a healthy Grayson Rodriguez to make 13 starts in the second half. You get Kyle Bradish back to make 8 to 10 starts in August and September. And then you have Tyler Wells.
Those bullpens.
Yeah.
They said he should be going on a rehab. I think they said by the mid-July, I think.
Yeah. They said that he's been throwing bullpens, and his next step is facing live hitters, and then they'll be going on a rehab. Like all three of those guys, you're getting back at various points.
You know who else we're forgetting about?
Suarez?
Yeah.
See, but I don't know, man. I am more inclined to think.
I think Suarez is a good pen arm, though.
I think so. I think he could be. Here's the thing. But the other thing is when they updated about a month ago, they said that they had no timetable for him. He wasn't even throwing yet. Like he was playing catch, and I've been wrong in the past. I thought that Ryan O'Hearn after 2023 was a flash in the pan. I thought that he was just one of those guys, because we've seen it so many times, whether it was Luis Matos or Gary Matthews Jr. or Alejandro De Aza or Jimmy Paredes. We've seen it so many times in Baltimore where a guy gets hot and it's like, oh man, this dude looks like he's going to be a player for this team for a long time. And then the next season, he's garbage.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to happen to O'Hearn. And I've been wrong. He's put up 3 solid seasons for the Orioles. I look at a guy like Suarez and my mind immediately thinks flash in the pan. But if he gets healthy and comes back and he pitches like he was nails for the Orioles down the stretch after Rodriguez got hurt last year, he comes back and he's pitching the way that he pitched last year. This team is that much better. You get him, and that's the other thing with how well this bullpen has been. Like, who's the odd man out at this point?
Well, you don't have to sit there and swing around with Matt Bowman and stuff like that, and you don't have to make those waiver claims. Now Tyler Wells has options, so if he comes out and pitches a little bit, gets a little bit tired. Okay, let's option him down. Let's bring up so-and-so. Or, Grayson has options. If he makes a start, okay, now we can send Grayson down because he just made a start, and now we can pull up another bullpen arm, which might be Suarez or something like that for 4 games or whatever magic they can do to manipulate the roster. It's they having Wells in there with a couple options really helps them. Mainly, it's just getting rid of that swing guy like Scott Blewett. You don't have to sit here and keep DFAing guys and claiming the next guy and DFAing and claiming. Like, I understand it's how you got to get through a season with a bullpen, but you don't if you have guys with options.
Well, and the other thing that it helps with is you look at what the Orioles have done 2 of their last 4 games with the opener. Keegan Aiken was the opener on whatever the hell day that was. What was that? Wednesday? Thursday against the Tigers, he was the opener. And then today, Scott Blewett wants everyone to know that his last name is Blewett. He's not a pitcher whose last name is Blewett. Yeah. But they opened with him. How much more confident do you feel when your opener is Albert Suarez or Tyler Wells?
Right.
And do you piggyback those guys with Kyle Bradish and Grayson Rodriguez, so you aren't blowing out their arms and they're healthy for October.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to have to ease them back into competition. They're not going to be their polished selves, when they first come back. But if you have an opportunity where Tyler Wells starts and he gives you 2-3 innings, and then Bradish comes in and he gives you 3 or 4 innings, now you've got your high leverage arms and they're well rested. You can do the same thing with Suarez and Grayson, and it's not Scott Bluett opening a game for you to get to Cade Povich. I just think it gives you so many more opportunities to get those guys back, and you worry about making roster space for them. These roster crunches, they always work themselves out, and I have no doubts that it'll work itself out again. Do want to ask you about the opener, but before I do so, today's show is also brought to you by Glenn Clark Radio. If you missed anything from Glenn Clark Radio this week, including conversations with Mike Bordick, Orioles pitching prospect Trey Gibson, Tennis Hall of Famer Pam Shriver, and more, you can find them all now in the Glenn Clark Radio Week in Review feature at PressBoxOnline.com. And as always, watch or listen to GCR every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. at PressBoxOnline.com/radio, or right here on Facebook and YouTube. Wanted to ask you, what is your thoughts of the Orioles using openers? Because I looked at it with having Keegan Aiken open against Skubal, and I'm like, all right, like they don't care about Keegan Aiken. The Tigers aren't going to adjust things because Keegan Aiken's on the mound just because they don't hit lefties particularly well. They'll just do their regular lineup and wait for Dean Kramer to come in, which is essentially what they did. But then you think about the fact that, like, with a guy like Cade Povich today, he really only gets to a lineup once or twice before he starts to implode. You have Bluett come in, he gives up both runs, and then Povich goes 3 2/3. Didn't really work on Thursday. Seemed to work today. I've never been a fan of the opener, but it can work if you do it correctly. What are your thoughts on the Orioles using openers 2 of their last 4 games?
I definitely thought Povich looked more confident in himself and in his pitch selection here. Excuse me. I've never understood it whatsoever. Today I was like, okay, are they maybe like looking at Povich as a bullpen arm, like seeing how he reacts coming out? I'm so indifferent about saying that Scott Bluett gave up 2 earned runs. You and I play baseball. Charge Gary Sanchez with a freaking error. That was a horrible block. It wasn't even an attempt. You're going to say, oh, it was a wild pitch. It was not a wild pitch. Terrible. So should have only been 1 earned run today. But I felt like, I mean, look, that was a good curveball. He buried it. He did what he's supposed to do. It just wasn't blocked. I just felt like Povich looked confident, and he wasn't afraid to attack. I mean, look, he went after Mike Trout with a changeup. A pitch he really only throws about 17% of the time. It's very effective, and you saw how effective it was. And he threw it in a big moment, and he got Trout to swing right through it. And that to me was like, long-term Povich is going to be okay. Like, that was a very big moment against a potential, not even a potential. This dude's a freaking first ballot Hall of Famer. Against a future Hall of Famer, and you went right after him, and you commanded the fastball, you got ahead, and you threw this changeup over that has been very effective all year, and you got him to swing through it. And you looked like you knew what you were doing, you had a plan, and you executed it, and you just walked around like, okay, I just did this. And long term, I think Povich is going to be okay after seeing that. The whole opener thing, I still don't get it. I really don't. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Has anybody ever given a reason, like, to a point? Like, I know Tampa started it, but have they ever said, like, why they do it?
For me, it's what we just talked about with a guy like Kyle Bradish and Grayson Rodriguez coming back from the IL, easing them in
an inning or two, but
with a guy like Povich, I mean, he's proven every game like clockwork. It's the 4th inning. He gets through that lineup the first time, maybe gets through it the second time if we're lucky, but it's like clockwork. He has that big crooked number come up in the 4th or 5th inning. And it's like, if he can get you 9 outs before he gives up a run, that dude is much more effective for you coming out of the pen. And if he's stretched out like a starter, then let's use a guy who we're not going to use in a high leverage situation. like Scott Bluett, who we know can get us outs, and he's this was the first runs he's given up as an Oriole
the
in
ball
9
really
games.
well, I feel like.
He had one bad game in Atlanta, and it got him DFA'd. One bad game in Atlanta got him DFA'd. But it's the first runs he gave up, only 1 earned, in my opinion. It says 2 earned, but like I agree with you, it's 1 earned essentially. And the second run came home after he left the ball game, right? And so I look at that and I'm like, all right, that's a guy who he's really only coming in the 5th or 6th inning. If your starter doesn't give you innings, he's not pitching in high leverage situations, or he's not pitching late in the game unless you're getting blown out. So yeah, but he's gotten outs for you. Let him start this game. Povich is supposed to start anyway. Let him give you 3, 4, maybe 5 innings if you're lucky, but let him give you 3 innings, because you know that those first 3 innings are when he's going to be at his absolute best. And now you've essentially gotten a 6-inning start, and your high leverage relievers are available to you, and you're probably winning that game. You're probably in the lead. So to me, that's why it makes sense. It makes sense when you have a guy that you don't trust to get through a lineup a second and third time. But
it's crazy though. You look at it and you're like, okay, we got an opener today. And honestly, I wouldn't say it's a must-win game, but it was a really important game to win. Okay, we got an opener. And then the lineup gets released, and we're all like, what the is this? Like, I don't think any of us like that lineup. And then they come out and put up 11 runs. Like,
the funny thing is,
baseball the greatest sport on earth?
I saw the lineup on Thursday and the fact that they had the opener, and I was like, not happy.
Yeah.
I was not happy, right? Today's lineup came out, and I was just like, I'm going to shut up about this. I'm not saying a word. It's like, just go play baseball.
Yeah.
Like, they're not
getting paid just like everybody else.
Yeah, just go play baseball. Like, I did scratch my head because I remember a certain Jackson Holiday hitting a grand slam tank shot off of Kikuchi.
Yeah.
It was in spring training, but he still hit it off that guy. But I also understand, like, hey, this is an opportunity to give this guy a rest. Kikuchi doesn't throw hard. And the thing is, I kind of had a good feeling when I'm watching Jordan Westburg in his first at bat. And I'm thinking to myself, Kikuchi cannot get him to swing and miss. And Westbrook's kind of a swing and miss guy. He's either going to drive the ball with authority or he's going to swing and miss. And he couldn't get Westburg to swing through a pitch. And I'm like, it's not going to be a good day for this guy.
Yeah. And I think he still threw the ball pretty well, though.
Yeah, look, he threw well, but there was no point in today's game where I thought, and I trusted Bluett, and I trusted that Povich could get the Orioles probably 3 solid innings. There wasn't a point today where I was nervous, say we're going to lose.
Right.
Now, I wasn't thrilled with the lineup, but I was like, I'm just not going to say anything. I don't have the energy to deal with this today, and it was just, sometimes it's better to just keep your mouth shut and remain stupid than to open it and remove all doubt. Who said that? Mark Twain? That was kind of my approach today, because I can be a negative Nancy sometimes, and I know that about myself, and people don't always want to hear that. Like yesterday, Gary Sanchez hits a home run, and I post, he still sucks, and then he hits a grand slam today. I just didn't feel like having the egg on my face, But look, really solid win from the Orioles today, really solid performance all the way around from the team. And Jordan Westburg, those 3 home runs. Gary Sanchez, the 2 home runs coming back off the IL. Cedric coming off the IL with a home run. Kalzer, man, he comes off the IL, hits a couple of moonshot home runs, and then leaps into the wall. At what point do you IL him? At what point, like, do you have to put him back on the IL because he hasn't played in 3 days now? He didn't play the entire.
He was available today, I think.
They said that all 3 games.
They also said about Kerstad last year too.
Yeah, and Kerstad went back down. It was kind of like the writing was on the wall when these guys were coming back that Kerstad was going to head out.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Kerstad, man? Like, do you think that he's ever going to put it together and become a quality big leaguer?
I do. And I've said this a couple times, even with Mayo. I think these guys are good hitters. I've always been afraid to let them go elsewhere because I feel like someone else is going to fix them. And I don't think another team would allow the high leg kick. I don't think another team would allow Kobe's, that little herky-jerky with his hands. I feel like the right organization would see that and just say, I can fix that so easily, and then they take off.
Mm-hmm.
Heston's age is putting him behind. Excuse me. It's it's becoming now or never. I still think he's got it in him. I do. But at 26 years old, was it 27 in February, I think. At what point does Dylan Beavers hop him? Because Beavers is on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
on
what, 23 or something like that. You know, Fabian's got a lot of swing and miss to his game, but he's an outstanding defensive outfielder, and he still has a lot of pop too. You know, Bradfield is hitting. He's not that far away. Like, at what point does Kjerstad fall 2 or 3 down in the pecking order at 27 years old next year?
And did they just give him the whole week off? Because he went down.
So
like
this
Tuesday.
Is what happens. And people kind of made a little bit of a stink about this, but I can promise you John Raby said, this is not good. I want you to work on this. I want you to work on this and this. And when they give you stuff to work on, you are not thrown right back into the fire to think about it in the box and try to do it. You're given several days to really work on it. And he's probably out early before the games and taking live BP and stuff like that off of either rehabbers or guys that need to get some work in, anything. He's not going to play until they feel like, okay, this is mastered in practice. And then we're going to give you one more day, and now let's go see it live. And that's typical when they want to change something drastic. And what I mean by drastic is I really think they're cutting that leg kick out because the hands are fast enough. And I feel like the problem for him is pitch recognition. And with that whole like leg kick movement thing, if the heel gets down late, we know what happens with that. If it gets down too early, we know what happens with that. Spread him out a little bit. Eliminate a lot of that, just like Jackson Holiday, and just let him just look at the ball and use his hands and something like that. It's not easy, and it will take days. It wouldn't shock me to see him have a full week off.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cedric came back on Tuesday, and leave it to Jorge Mateo. The injury creeps up after they DFA Emmanuel Rivera, and so they have to call it Vasquez and IL Mateo. But he got sent. Kjerstad got sent back down on Tuesday. The series, the week of games is over. They don't play tomorrow, and Kjerstad did not play one game.
Yeah.
At the minor league level this week. So I believe what you're saying is accurate. You've been there, you've done that. You've seen guys go through this. You know what I mean? So I look at it and I say, I think Zach's right. They probably were like, hey, you got to do all this stuff. Get down there, work on that. You'll play starting next week.
Yeah.
Take the rest of the week off from game action.
Because look, if they cut the leg kick out, probably like I think they're doing, it ain't easy. It's not easy to figure all that out and just say, hey, go out there and try it out there, bud. Like, no, that's just a confidence killer. So they're gonna get him to a point where he starts to feel natural and he starts to feel a little bit confident in himself, and then he'll see some game action.
Yeah. And I look, I've never played at any level that you've played, but I have played baseball my whole life. And like 2 years ago, I developed a leg kick because I know I have power and I was trying to generate more power. And I got into this bad habit where my foot was getting down late and I was behind everything. And when it wasn't getting down late, I was lunging at everything. And it took me like I started doing this back in October and I still haven't mastered it, where instead of doing the leg kick, I'm bringing my foot back and getting a step instead of a leg kick. And it's hard. When I do my practice swings, I still have that leg kick. It is really, and I play once a week. It is really hard to get rid of something like that. And unless you're like, who is somebody that's a big leaguer that just had a ton of success with a high leg kick? Like, I think it was like Bo Bichette.
I mean, so even Harper got rid of his. The only one I would say that I would even consider high is like Mike Trout, maybe. Yeah. And his isn't really high, so to say. I can't think of a high one.
God, his swing is just so short into the baseball, though.
It is.
Like his swing to me, it's when you look at the way Mike Trout swings, it's not like you think of a Griffey swing. You're like, oh my God, that swing's so pretty, and that swing looks so long and so loopy, and he just knew how to swing, how to meet the barrel to the ball. Mike Trout, his hands are just so fast, and that swing is just so short. it almost looks choppy, and yet he squares everything up.
Yeah.
Like, why does he still play the field at all? If you're the Angels, how that dude can hit 50 home runs every year if he wants to, but you keep trotting him out to center field and right field, and he has an injury every year. And like, these are supposed to be his prime years, and now his best days are behind him because he keeps playing the outfield. He has to, just like Tyler O'Neill. Tyler O'Neill and Mike Trout should never be put in the outfield ever again unless it's an emergency.
Yeah.
How are these guys not full-time DHs at this point?
Wow. Who knows?
Yeah.
Everybody
if you're
else
feeling
is smarter than us, right?
Yeah, well, and then everybody thinks that we think we're smarter than them, right? And that's just how it goes. If you're feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself, it could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, they specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. So call Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills at 443-264-4454 or visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com for more information. Tyler O'Neill, he's on the IL. He's out there, does his rehab stint, comes back. He's not having a good year for the Orioles. Two home runs in 30 games, something like that. Goes back on the IL, starts a rehab assignment at the same time that Cedric Mullins did, or was supposed to. And now he's got shoulder soreness, and he's not playing again. Is this one of the worst signings that the Orioles could have possibly? Because you and I talked about it in the offseason, and we liked the O'Neill signing. We liked what he does historically against left-handed pitching. We like the fact that when he plays 100 games, he's going to drop 30 home runs. And yet here we are. It's June 15th. He's got 30 games under his belt, and he's hit 2 home runs. Was this, with hindsight being 2020, just an awful, awful signing by the Orioles, or do you think that he can get back and still turn this thing around and be a formidable bat in the middle of their lineup?
I mean, career shows that he can still be a formidable bat. It just got to get back at this point.
Right.
It's just, look, I understand that his injury history scared me. But I've always said, if you got him to a point where he just stopped working out so hard, and you would probably keep him healthy. The problem is what are they doing? Like, I'm not saying that they're probably still allowing him to do this, but something is still hurting him. And I don't know what it is. I still think we've seen all these guys come back and be better. I still think Tyler can come back and perform at a level that our contract expectation said that he could. And I'm not worried about that once he gets here. It's just getting here. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's the worst of all time yet because it is only a couple months so far. If he comes back and goes on a heater, we probably won't even talk about this again. It's just he's got to get back.
24 games, 93 plate appearances. He's 15 for 80, 3 doubles, 1 triple, which is surprising, 2 home runs, and one of them came on the opening day.
Yeah, we saw early on what he's capable of, and then he started getting nicked up, and that's why I still, because that's just what he's done in his career. He's that kind of hitter when he's healthy. You just got to keep him healthy. So it's on us, flat out. It's on the Orioles to keep him healthy because he's valuable. He is valuable, and we're still not out of the woods against left-handed pitching. He's still a guy who can come in and really help you bang the ball hard against lefties. He's still going to help this team this year at some point. And if it's, we don't get him back till mid-July, but then, that second half, he just goes on a tear, we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah. Look, if he comes back and from July through the end of the year hits 15 home runs, drives in 40, and gives you that presence in the middle of your order that they are still, Ramon Laureano is hitting cleanup for this team more often than not.
You just put Tyler in a 5-hole.
Yeah, like
it doesn't hurt you whatsoever.
Like, look, the team is really starting to gel. They scored 17 runs in back-to-back games combined. It's their most over a 2-game stretch at any point this season. The bats are starting to come around. If you get a healthy Tyler O'Neill back, then sometime in August or September you get. It'll probably be August, I'd imagine. that you would get a healthy Ryan Mountcastle back. When you saw Ryan Mountcastle come back off the IL last year for a period, he was tearing the cover off the ball, hitting like 360 for a solid month. There's pieces that could come back at some point, but they got to get healthy first. For Tyler O'Neill, that's the biggest bugaboo of his entire career. When he's on the field, he helps you, but he's barely on the field. So it's just an issue that he's got to deal with, and the Orioles have got to figure out, hey, is he working out too hard? Can we afford to put him in the outfield anymore? They've got to figure out what they're going to do, because look, you're not giving that guy $17 million a year to spend 3/4 of the season on the IL. You just can't. Can't. So, today's show brought to you by County Sports Zone. Find every score from every high school sporting event all year long at countysports.zone. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and by a Toyota.com. Oh my gosh, I had something I wanted to talk about and I completely forgot. So we'll do take the rake while I try to remember this. Zach, you took Adley Rutschman last week. Did not have a bad week. He went 5 for 17, a double, an RBI, 3 walks, 3 Ks. I took Jordan Westburg, who went scorched earth this week. 6 for 19, a double, 3 home runs, 8 RBI, 2 walks, 4 Ks. If Adley got 2 more bats, he probably could have gotten 1 more hit, but he didn't play today. I think the 3 home runs and the 8 RBI puts me over the top. So I think I'm the winner of this one. So I'm going to go back to the well here. And I think that Gunnar Henderson's bat has quietly come alive.
Yep.
It hasn't come alive in the sense where he's driving the ball out of the ballpark, but I think that's coming. I'm taking Gunnar Henderson to go on a heater this week. Probably, I say he's going to hit at least 2 home runs between Tampa Bay and Texas. I think he's going to hit at least 2 home runs, kind of get back and remind everybody he's the best player on the team.
Yeah.
Who are you taking?
I'm going to stick with the hot hand. Give me Liriano.
All right. I did take Liriano. I had a pick to click today.
Did you?
I had a click. I took Westburg. I saw somebody take Arias, and then he homered in the first inning. I was like, that's how you get like 12 clicks this early in the season, taking somebody like Arias, and they actually do it. But then Westburg homered late in the game, and I got a click today. So that was cool. I think it was only my 4th one. So I still got a ways to go. But Laureano's having a nice year for the Orioles. I think Gunner's going to have a big week. I think Mayo is about to just start dropping bombs for this team. Do I think he's going to do it?
I think once he gets that first one out of the way, he'll be all right.
I thought he had it yesterday.
Yeah.
I really thought he had it yesterday, but it just hit it to one of the deepest parts in the ballpark, hit off the top of the wall. But it's coming, man. And that's a guy who could
go down to a minor league stadium now in Florida.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're playing in Bradenton. I completely forgot. They're not in the Dome. They're playing in Bradenton.
He's from Florida, right?
Yeah, I think didn't he? He went to the same high school as Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah.
Stoneman Douglas. Stoneman Douglas.
He went there. Yeah, where the tragedy happened.
Yeah, I think he was in school when it happened. Yeah. Yeah, but not taking him this week. Maybe I'll take him next week. Damn, I didn't even think about that. The fact that he's going to Florida.
Week he hits 4 home runs.
Yeah, he'll have a 2-homer game tomorrow.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Something like that. I want to get to some viewer interaction here. The Orioles are playing their best baseball of the year. Not that long ago, they were 18 games under 500. Now they're 30 and 40, 10 games under 500. Their playoff odds have creeped up each of the last 3 weeks. Andrew Kilchenstein wants to know, does Mike Salivare exactly 500 at the deadline?
I hope not.
I don't think he can.
I thought if you stay within 6 games, you make a run at it. Just because how weak the AL is.
Yeah, I don't think that he can. Go ahead.
He could probably sell some, but look to acquire other.
Well, and that's the thing. Everything I'm reading from like The Athletic and stuff like that is that the Orioles have to be buyers and sellers at the deadline. So is there any way, no matter what happens, that Ryan O'Hearn survives the deadline?
Yes.
You think that the Orioles will hang on to Ryan O'Hearn if they're playing well?
Mm-hmm. I think you have to.
I think he's a vibes guy. I think he's a clubhouse guy. I think they love him. You know,
100%.
I think they love him on that team. And it would be the equivalent of trading Trey Mancini. Let me shut the hell up and take that back. It's not the equivalent of trading Mancini, but I think it has a similar impact on the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Because you trade Ryan O'Hearn, who's a fan favorite at this point. He's a clubhouse favorite at this point, and you trade him. I don't know how you justify that to anybody.
Right.
And you're not. I keep doubting the guy, but I just don't think that the return that you get for Ryan O'Hearn at 32 years old, mostly DH, and his agent will, when he's a free agent, will try and sell him as a first baseman and an outfielder who doesn't swing and miss and doesn't strike out, and that's well within his rights, and it's true. But he's 32 and he doesn't really have a position.
Right.
I don't know that you're getting much for him at the deadline. I think that the only way that they should be trading him is if they fall so far back that it's insurmountable at that point.
I agree.
Gabriel wants to know, hey, how's it going? Pretty good. Thanks for checking in. Let me see here.
Interesting.
What's that?
I got bored here, and I'm thinking long term. Like if they,
thanks.
If they decided,
I got bored doing the show with you.
No. If they decided to trade Mullins, I was just like, let me see what prospects are available at center field, and I'm just shocked to see that Austin O'Verne is ranked ahead of Bradfield and Honeycutt on this. This is in Fangraphs.
Really?
They have O'Verne as the 11th overall ranked center fielder in all of minor league baseball.
Really?
Yeah.
What level? Isn't he at like high A?
Yep. Hey, knock it off. Sorry.
You're a big O'Verne believer. You've brought him up a few times on the show.
He's real fast. Played at USC. I mean, it's not like it's just, some small school. Like they played quality baseball.
Yeah.
Dog. Trying to eat my carpet. I don't know if you can even see it. He's literally sitting here trying to eat my carpet.
Oh, man. How old is he? He's a good boy. He's 2?
Oh,
yeah.
Fix that.
Yeah. While he's fixing that, Baltimore Sports Providence, I know this is about the O's, but holy shit, I can't get over how awful that Devers trade is.
So let's go back to that, because I just saw, God, who the hell was it? Was it Trade Values? I was just reading it and I lost it because the page just updated. But they said it, Baseball Trade Values. Stop! Golly. Today, this is their exact tweet 2 hours ago. San Francisco Giants reportedly acquired DH Rafael Devers, a $40.3 million surplus trade value from the Red Sox, in exchange for Kyle Harrison, a $10.9 million, outfield James Tibbs, $9.1 million, Jordan Hicks at a $18.5, and Jose Bello at a $0.4. Deal is rejected by our model because it's an overpay by San Francisco.
An overpay?
For a guy hitting 240 in single A, and James Tibbs, yes, he was a first-round pick, and Jordan Hicks, who's on the IL, and Harrison, who's been outrighted back down to AAA.
An overpay?
An overpay.
Maybe because he doesn't have a position there, because they got Matt Chapman. They got Matt Chapman playing third base out there in San Francisco. He doesn't want to go play first base. I guess he'll DH for them.
Yeah, until Eldridge is ready, and then what?
Yeah.
Well, Chapman's probably retiring soon, I think.
You think so?
I think so, because he's, 37?
Yeah, and the bat hasn't really been all that impressive. Like, he had a decent year in Toronto
he's only
a few
32.
years ago. But that bat...
I thought he was like near 40. He's 32. He's not retiring anytime soon. I hope not.
Man, Matt Chapman, though, like, when he was in Oakland, that bat was impressive, right?
Yeah.
Like, he had a 36 homer, 91 RBI season. Then he had back-to-back 27 homer seasons in Oakland and then Toronto. And then he had another 27 homer season for San Francisco last year. But the guy doesn't even hit 250. His own base capabilities aren't great.
It's hard.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he's having a solid year for them this year. He's got an OPS north of 800. OPS plus is second highest of his career at this point at 134. 12 home runs. He's having a good year. Yeah, Devers isn't going to play third base for them. That's for sure. I don't know, man. It's crazy to hear like how blasted that trade got. It's interesting to hear that somebody thinks it's an overpay. Right. Birdland Sports wants to know, is this the new curse of the Bambino? Hey, Pooch. What a sweet dog. That's so cute.
Yeah,
like
right. He's a little alien.
I don't know. I think that's pretty adorable, man.
He just needs attention.
He's just giving you Father's Day lovins. Is this the new curse of the Bambino? Ask me in 86 years.
Yeah, right.
No, it's not the new curse of the Bambino. Babe Ruth, when Babe Ruth got traded, he was the greatest player the game had ever seen. He was hitting more home runs by himself as a pitcher than any other 3 or 4 teams in the league combined. Like there was one year that Babe Ruth hit 54 home runs and the next leading hitter had like 11. Like it's not the curse of the Bambino. Like this is, and
Babe, I hope it is. I really do.
Yeah.
Boston doesn't win for how many years? I would love it.
Yeah. We need some kind of Yankees curse. I mean, they haven't won a World Series since 2009. Maybe they're on a little bit of a curse, but they did go last year.
Yeah.
Watch the Giants flip him again. Moose, you two seem to agree. You already brought this comment up earlier.
Just wouldn't shock me. I don't think it's possible. I just wouldn't shock me at all.
I mean, we did see, what was it, 99, Mike Piazza got traded from the Dodgers to the Marlins to the Mets in a 3-day span. He played one game for the Marlins. Like, it's
going to be a lot harder to move his contract, but I mean, if somebody needs a power left-handed bat, why not?
Oh, man. Laura Topliff, she said, I'm watching Dodgers pregame. I'm watching them run out to tell Kyle Harrison as he's warming up to pitch tonight.
Yeah, they said they had to pull him off the bullpen mound because he was supposed to start within 8 minutes.
Yeah, that's crazy. My cats are attacking my hands because they want attention too.
Yeah, yep, same here.
Boston is being realistic. Matt Doherty, you got to win 3 in a row before you can win 17 in a row. I guess you're talking about the Orioles. Look, this is, I think they hadn't had a 3-game winning streak till the end of May, and now they've got what 3-game winning streaks and a 6-game winning streak since then.
Jaws of life over here, starting to pick up anything he can to eat it.
Look, this is the 3rd straight week that the Orioles have gone 4-2, and Jacob Calvin-Meyer said that equals out. If the Orioles do that the rest of the way, they're 91-71, same record as last year. Can they do it? If the Orioles win 90 games, this year, I got to do something.
Do you rehire Mansolino?
I don't know.
That's a big turnaround.
He's manager of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's not manager of the year if they end up winning 90 games. I don't know, man. I don't think you can. I don't think you can. Your dog's a nut. I just see a silhouette of his ears in the background. And it looks like he's got a chip. Was that around his neck? Or was it in his mouth?
He was trying to eat a medal that my daughter left on the corner of the couch.
I was like, I couldn't tell if that was around his neck or if it was in his mouth.
Hey.
It's so funny, man.
I think he's got to pee.
He just looks like Batman.
Let me go let him out real quick.
Oh, here. You know what? It's 9:54. Let's just close the show out.
All right.
Let's just close this show out. Today's show brought to you by the latest edition of Press Box Print. Let me make sure that we don't have a new one coming up because I feel like it's a brand new edition of Press Box. Hits newsstands this Tuesday. On the cover, we profile Baltimore's first ever basketball Hall of Famer, speaking to the people who knew Carmelo Anthony best about how his Baltimore upbringing shaped his legendary career. Also inside Bo Smolka profiles Ravens second-round pick Mike Green, and our annual summer travel section shows you the sports events and activities your family should check out all summer long. You can find a new issue all throughout the region, including at 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Zach, is there anything that you want to say or do before we get out of here?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Predictions for this coming road trip. They're going to Tampa Bay for 4 and Texas for 3. What are your thoughts on the road trip?
I look 4-3 is successful. 5-2 puts you on the map. So if you want to do this, go put yourself on the map.
Yeah, go 5-2 this week, and this team's playing with the confidence to go do something like that. 5-2 would be a hell of a week. I think we'll all take 4-3 because that means that you're splitting one series and you're winning another.
What do you think 5-2 puts them wild card wise? 4 out?
Well, right now there's 6 out. Tampa Bay's you're not thinking about Tampa Bay until you get into a wild card spot. Tampa Bay's first, but you can knock them down a peg or two. Texas is in front of you. How far Texas is? I mean, you're 6 out right now, and if you let's say they sweep Texas, right?
I don't know if that's possible, but
I mean anything is possible.
Yeah, 39-32. Texas is 36-36. We're 30-40. So you win, you go 5-2, and you're sitting at 35-42. I think 4 out would be pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, Texas and Kansas City are both in front of you. They play each other for 3 games while you're in Tampa Bay. And Kansas City's under 500, which is surprising. Like, they were like the field.
They just got swept by the Athletics.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say 4 out, maybe 3. Maybe 3 out if you go, depending on how Kansas City could be pissed. They could be pissed.
Oh, it's Rays and Yankees. Is it Yankees?
Rays and Yankees, those 3 games?
Let's see. Yeah. So Rays and Yankees. Yeah. And then Texas at home. And then Tampa again. So you were looking at the home series. Never mind.
Oh. So, you're right. They go to Tampa Bay, then they go to New York, then they come home and they play the Rangers.
Yeah.
So, playing the Rays and the Yankees.
5-2.
You
find a way.
You go 5. You have to. You have to. You want people to start taking you seriously again. You go 5-2, and everybody in baseball is talking about the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah,
I think you.
And then you come home against Texas and Tampa and go 4-2 there.
Now they're
going to slip up eventually. So I would say that home series they probably go maybe 3-3. But if you do good here, that's the deciding factor. You go down there, you go 5-2. Like I said, 4-3 is still acceptable. 5-2 is going to make everybody start believing.
Yeah, especially if you come home and then you win 4-6 against the Rangers and the Rays.
Yeah,
like that's a big deal. It's a big deal. Hopefully, you go 9-4 over your next 13 games. That's a big deal. I know you got to go. I know your dog's got to pee. He's sitting by the door being a good boy. So
here's another thing too. So we got 3 against the Yankees. They're already 2-1 against the Yankees. You go 2-1 again, and you're 4-2 on the series against New York. Another momentum builder, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at you're 12.5 out of the division. Stranger things have happened, but I'm not talking about the division until they're into a wild card spot.
Not talking about division, but just the fact that you get the confidence that you're 4-2 against a good team.
Yeah,
you know, we can do this, and then it puts you right back in the spot that you need to be to go acquire some help.
This is, and I'm telling you, go get Marcell Ozuna. Go get Marcell Ozuna. You need that guy in the middle of your order. Go get another starting pitcher. Get a Sonny Gray. I think that the Cardinals are going to fall out of it. They don't have anybody in their lineup. I think they're going to fall out of it.
Yeah.
And Helsley's not pitching great. But that's a topic for another day. This has the makings of. It felt like it could be the worst season in our lifetimes, just not record wise, but just based on what they were doing. It could turn into the most exciting if they keep playing this brand of baseball. I'm excited for what's going on with this team. I know you are. Go win some baseball games. We'll talk next Sunday. Thank you to all of our loyal sponsors. Thank you for all that you do. Without you, we don't have a show. Thank you to all of our loyal listeners, viewers, fans, subscribers. Without you, we 100% do not have a show. Zach, thank you. Go let your dog pee. We'll talk next week. See ya.
See you guys.